Hi, my name is Veronica Brown, and I'm here today with Tricia LoveJoy from Mountain Lake Church in Cumming, Georgia. And it's so great to have you with us. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, and your ministry.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to our time together today. A little bit about me. Born and raised in the South. I've been in ministry for, since 1995. Me personally, I love to read a good book. Most nights I fall asleep in bed with a good book in my hands. Hate to exercise, but I like the results, so I generally push myself to do a little something every day. Love chocolate. I'm a type A personality, so I'm pretty driven. I push myself and I stay busy about 23 hours out of the day, so I sleep really good at night. So that's a little bit about me. I'm pretty passionate about the things that I get involved in. About my family, married since '93 to a wonderful guy, Sean LoveJoy. We have 3 kids. Hannah is 12, Madison just turned 8, and Paul is 6, and they keep me hopping. And professionally, we started our church, Mountain Lake Church in Cumming, Georgia, in 2000. Now, we had served churches before Mountain Lake Church, traditional churches, small churches, one large church, Louisiana and in Alabama, before we decided to plant a church. Now, honest to goodness, I had only heard of church planting. I had never seen a church plant, never visited a church plant. So this notion of starting a church in a school that smells like pizza and corn in a cafeteria, totally foreign. So it was a brand new adventure for us. And in 1999, my husband and I moved from Alabama to Cumming, Georgia, without knowing a single soul here, and got school space at a local primary school and began Mountain Lake Church. We began investing into the community. Sean got involved with some civic organizations. I got involved with some moms group, and we met the people in our neighborhood, and before long we had a small Bible study in our home, and not long after that, weekly worship services launched, and now here we are, 11 years later, over 1,300 baptisms, a beautiful campus, a building, a facility that meets our needs, and restored lives, restored marriages, restored friendships. We've seen Jesus at his best at Mountain Lake, and it's been a wild ride, but the wild ride does not mean that it's always been good or easy or something that I come home raving about. There's been a lot of days that I have cried, a lot of days that I have felt ineffective, a lot of days that I have felt more worn out than I should. And so I have a big heart for pastors' wives who are either in the traditional church or in a church plant just starting this whole thing so that we can not only start well, but work well and finish well. So that's a little bit about who I am.
That's wonderful, yes. Finishing strong and having the spirit of a finisher is so important. And in 11 years, God has brought y'all so far. You and your husband have a ministry, a coaching network. There at Mountain Lake Church, church planners, aside from leading the church. Tell me about that and how someone could be a part.
Well, it's churchplanners.com, and we started that back in about 2006. And what we do are yearly or annual conferences where church planters, some of whom are just considering planting a church, many of whom have already started. They're 6 months in, a year in, 4 or 5 years in, and there are the people that are 8, 9, 10 years old who come to the conference to be better equipped, to hear leaders speak who have been where they are and are a little further ahead, to be sharpened, to come together corporately in worship and learn the good hands-on stuff about leadership and growth and getting through those growth barriers and all the systems things, all those hands-on things that those pastors need that are so much in addition to preaching a sermon on Sunday mornings.
Exactly.
We all say yes to ministry and we're ready to tackle hell with a water gun, but unless we're well equipped and skilled to actually be in leadership and administrate, it really doesn't matter how well we can preach, because people will come in here, but then you'll lose them out of the back doors of your churches. So it's very important that we become better equipped, sharper at what we do. And for us, mentoring church planters, a lot of church planters are really on an island out there on their own. They're not part of a denominational agency. They're not part of a group that holds them accountable. And so there is a tendency when you're out on an island by yourself to not get wayward, but lose sight of the goal, falter slightly, put your eyes on the wrong priorities. And so it's good to come back to center a little bit and have an organization, churchplanters.com, that not just equips you, but dives into your life a little bit and asks the tough questions of you so that you can come back to center, because we all have a tendency to lose sight of the things that are most important. So we do these conferences once a year, usually in February. We also have a coaching network that we hold twice a year. They are 6-month commitments, and we meet monthly. We have 2 types of coaching networks. One is on-site, where pastors come to Mountain Lake Church and meet monthly with my husband. Or we have another one, telecoaching network, for those who are such great distances from Cumming, Georgia, and cannot travel here on a monthly basis. Of course, we Skype in and do the same coaching network with them. And so that is a much more personal way to sharpen and equip and build. It's for mentoring. It's for support. It's primarily for church planters who have already launched. It's not so much for the planter who is not yet launched.
Sure.
Because once you get in the mix of planting a church, that's where the questions come up. That's where you have people in your church coming in and trying to change the vision, and how do you handle that? That's where you need finances, and you've run out of the money that you raised. Now what do you do? That's where you are buying land or building a building, and many pastors don't have a background in real estate or business law to be able to figure out or at least navigate those waters of purchasing land and building a building and not getting taken advantage of. And my husband and I both have a background in real estate and business law, so we're able to help it on some very practical levels like that. So those coaching networks, you're able to, as a church planter, come in and say, this is where my church is. Tell me how to get to point B from here. And we're able to do that for them, and we love it. And then I don't meet with the pastors' wives monthly, mainly because many of them are nowhere near here. And as you well know, most of us are mothers, and we have children to take care of, and we can't travel. So for those coaching networks, at the end of the network time, that's when the wives come in, and I spend an entire day with them, and we do very spiritual things like go shopping and eat lunch. It's very spiritual. But then we come back after we've had some time to just let our hair down a little bit, and we come back and we have a roundtable discussion, and we talk about some best practices for pastors' wives and how to navigate when your husband is criticized, and how does that make you feel, and what is the proper response, and what leadership role do you have in your church, and how can God best use your gifts, and what does it mean for you to step out into the limelight a little bit in your church and let the women of your church see you using the gifts that God gave you, whether you're comfortable with it or not. It's challenging those ladies to understand that they have a mantle of leadership that they are now wearing because they are the pastor's wife.
That's right.
It's not always something that we take on willingly, but once that role is there, we need to learn how to wear it. And so we do a lot of talking about those types of things, and I make myself available to them so that we email back and forth, and it's a good thing, I think, for them.
That's wonderful. And I love what you said is not only are you giving them the mechanics to ministry, but also offering accountability.
Right.
And so many times people don't have a relationship where they can trust one another and be accountable. So I love that. So what is the website one more time?
Churchplanters.com.
Churchplanters.com.